Do you know how shocked I am? I genuinely am shocked by Manchester United's position. I know Chelsea have finished 10th before. I know Arsenal have finished in 8th place before. And I know Spurs find themselves down there, but I don't consider Spurs one of the actual big teams and actual giants. And Manchester City, I'm not going to mention their time before they had Manu where they were being relegated. But 15th, like 3 places above relegation zone at this point of the season, I am absolutely gobsmacked. Chuck, we're talking about Manchester United. Manchester United have won the most Premier League titles ever. Most like top division titles in English history. But if we just like looking at the Premier League era, it's 13 titles, and I think the next Manchester City are on 7 or 8, and they are in 15th. Do you realize, Chuck? I did this mental exercise when I was thinking about Manchester United, who Manchester United are, and the position they find themselves. They're record champions of this league, right? Mm-hmm. And they previously are treble winners as well. Mm-hmm. In the top 5 leagues of Europe, the only other side who qualifies as that is Bayern Munich. I cannot fathom Bayern Munich being that far down. And the thing is, in Spain, the record champions are Real Madrid, but they've never won a treble. Mm-hmm. Similar when you look when you go to Italy, Juventus have never won a treble, and they're record champions over there. Inter have won a treble. So the combination of the two is only Bayern Munich and Manchester United. The other giants we're even talking about, they've never they don't hold those two distinctions. And Manchester United are down in 15th place, and it's not like Everton today where okay, in the 80s once upon a time, yes, they were good, but even when they were good, they were still the second team in Liverpool, and they were not a global power. Manchester United are still financially viable. So we hear now the stories in terms of, yes, there are money issues and the tickets have been raised, and we know the stadium needs refurbishment and all that stuff. But when you just look purely at the revenue they bring in, they're still in the top 3. And when you take that and you take their history, how do we have this team being so poor and consistently? And it does not matter if you change managers. It does not matter if you buy players. It does not matter that you make changes at the very top. It just continues to go down. It's the most shocking. It's so abnormal, Chuck. Like I tweeted that it is exceptionally abnormal to see Manchester United in this position, and where we find ourselves now under this coach. So to go to a point that you made in terms of the system, the personnel. That 2 midfield, you need N'Golo Kanté to make that work. At his absolute prime times 2. It is too demanding, Chuck, especially when you've got Casemiro and Bruno. There's so many occasions where Bruno finds himself isolated. And now, especially with like an Amad Diallo who's out for the rest of the season, at least he helps with pressing and in terms of tracking back. Then he adds some numbers. But with those two, they're always overrun in midfield, and it feels like, man, just go to the 3. Just go to 3 in midfield, because that's all the other teams keep exploiting the numbers in midfield. And the thing is, Chuck, I feel as though this is not just Ruben Amorim being stubborn and believing and wanting to die on the hill that is his system. I feel that he cannot coach anything else. I feel as if that man knows that he's calling card, he's bread and butter. The only thing he knows how to do and that he's hoping to be successful with here at Manchester United, as he was wildly successful with where he comes from in Sporting, is that system. This is why when he was interviewed by Liverpool decided to go in a different direction, because my assumption is that when Liverpool were concerned about the flexibility of the system, this is the way he's going to play. And he came in saying that this is how he's going to play, this is how he's going to win, this is how he knows to win. And I think what that also means is not just, well, I've been successful with it, so trust it, is also that I don't know anything else. I don't know how to go to a back 4. I don't know how to go to a 4-3-3, like a version of a 4-3-3, and be successful with it. I am just hoping that we limp to the end of the season and I can convince the person who holds the checkbook that I need you to sign all of these players who are going to fit into this 3-4-3 system. And then he hopes that it's going to take, because even after he signs those players and it looks like this, which I'm terribly struggling now to see it turning around to a point where, oh man, he just needed an off season, or he just needed to sign his players. But Chuck, it's not looking good, and kudos to that to Ruben Amorim, because every time he speaks, he's very candid, right? But when I listen to him, if I was a Manchester United fan, like, my confidence would be continuing to go the way the form has gone this season, just further down and further down and further down.
3 spots from relegation, confidence. 3 spots from quitting. But I think, Jay, you might have a point, but I think to myself, you've got assistance. Even if you can't coach it, put the team back to how you found it when Ruud van Nistelrooy was in charge. Let them play, let them figure it out. They know how to have played. I mean, Ten Hag stumbled on a system and they played. And then when he's like, okay, here's what I want to do, he got fired because that system was not working. Let them play. Slot all the defenders, put 4 at the back, put 3 midfielders in place. Let them play. Because I think, Jay, when you look at someone like Anthony, when it comes to a team that can play, all of a sudden he's good again. We saw the same thing with Sancho when he was at Dortmund. When you come to a team that can play, oh, you've got the talent. I don't know what's happening with him at Chelsea at this point, but Marcus Rashford has got a bit of confidence at Aston Villa. So not only is it the only thing you can do, the players can't do it. So there's a big clash. This is the only thing you can do. The players can't do the only thing that you can do. So somewhere in the middle is a rock and a hard place, and disaster and relegation and all these things, Jay. And I think he has to bend the knee at some point. You have to bend the knee and say, guys, okay, I tried. How do you want to play? That's bad. That's where you are, Jay. Because
that is bad. You
can't be at that high horse where you're like, I believe in my system. Meanwhile, you're 15th. This is like 3 months later and you've done a million interviews. I believe in my system, but the results say, Uti, your system, try as you may. It's like you roll the stone away. You're like, there's still a body in there. You're like, no, I believe he's going to wake up. And it's like a month. You roll the stone away, the body's still there. It's decaying now. You're like,
well, it's going to be a miracle when it happens. And it's going to take a miracle to revive Manchester United.
As a wise man said, there's a lot of men that came and went, right? But we'll see if it's for real. So for me, Jay, as much as he believes he has to make tweaks, you absolutely have to make tweaks. This is, with all due respect, this is a step up. As good as Sporting are, as high-flying as they were in the Champions League, great. But this is a step up in terms of the demands day in and day out of the Premier League. It's more physical. Like we said, the two in midfield are being exposed every week. Whether you can say Casemiro's old, let's put in Kobe Mainoo. He gets exposed as well. Okay, let's play Collier. Exposed as well. There's no cover for any of those players. Bruno Fernandes is playing deeper, so he can't influence play that often. And when he does, he has to play long balls because there's no one else in front of him to play with. So I think at some point you just have to consider and say, okay, guys, let's meet each other halfway. How do we make this work? Because we're akin to disaster. And like I said, maybe as a fan, I should just say, Villa were great at some point.
Maybe it's time for you to bend the knee as well, Chuck. Let me find out this man was a fraud. And like as football fans, where banter is concerned, we throw the term around, right? It's like, it's a fraud. But if truly Ruben Amorim cannot coach any other way, or he's not confident that he can coach any other way, that would define him as a fraud, right? Because when you are absolutely counting on this thing working, like, it has to work. Because it's worked before, yes. But it has to work, because if it doesn't work, I don't know what I'm going to do. And you are the coach at Manchester United.